The report for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Amber Brown.
Here.
Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Joe Machado. William Harper.
Here.
Renee Curtis. Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
You have the minutes before you from the last meeting. Are there any changes or correction to those minutes?
Move to be approved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a
I
motion
second.
To be approved. We have a second. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown. Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis. Zane Cantrell.
In meeting with the governor's request for electoral meetings, do I hear a motion that they be approved? Have a motion they be approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Amber Brown.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, they are approved. The first item of the business is a request by Thomas Williams, and this is a 2,000 feet allowance for a detached accessory structure, and this is in a medium density residential zone. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-29 involves the property at 4856 Arnold Drive. It's a request for variance relief of 484 square feet to the maximum 2,000 square foot allowance for detached accessory structures on properties less than 1 acre located in the RM zone. And the applicant had applied to the Planning Department for zoning compliance form to add an additional detached square footage to his property, and when it was added up, he's proposing to build a 26 by 40 structure, which is 1,040 square feet. It exceeded the allowable square footage by 484 square feet. So he's got an existing detached structure. It's a rental property that the applicant owns, but he's going to use the structure for personal storage of classic cars. We did not receive any calls regarding this request. He is just seeking to add an additional 484 square feet of detached structure area. And you will see that we're advancing through the pictures of the site. He abuts a commercial district that fronts Lebanon Highway, and it is on that side that he is proposing to add the additional square footage. The staff found that he did not meet all of the criteria for variance approval. He does abut a commercial zone. However, he fails to show any hardships that would prevent him from complying with this provision. And we posted a sign on the property, and you can see the aerial, you can see the commercial property adjacent to him. And the applicant, in discussions with the applicant, he was not aware that his property was zoned residential because even though it's utilized as a residential use, it's taxed as commercial. And so he was under the impression that the property was zoned commercial, so he thought it would be okay. It's a rental property, so.
Is that?
And that concludes our presentation.
Okay. We will ask the applicant who is online to make any statement that he'd like to. We ask that all statements be held within 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It's Thomas Williams. The reason that I'm asking for the variance is not only for the building itself, but the tenants in the duplex, this would give them some buffer between the commercial buildings and the highway as well. And I don't believe it's going to disturb any of the neighbors at all. But the tenants, there's a tire shop and a body shop, and they get their garbage picked up at 3 a.m. and wakes them up. So that would help mute some of that problem with them. That would also alleviate me parking some vehicles outside that are, so those would be out of the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Any question to the applicant? We'll open this now for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to call in and make a statement. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it?
Motion to approve it, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Call the roll, please. Close the public hearing. Call the roll.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
No.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
No.
Dane Cantrell.
Yes. It is approved. The next item is a request by Parker Gibson, who is requesting a single-wide mobile home. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-30 involves a property at 2423 Factory Road. It's a 2-acre site. It's zone residential low density. And the applicant is seeking special exception approval for the establishment of a single-wide mobile home on a lot that measures less than 5 acres. And the applicant inquired a couple months ago. They would like to place the single wide on the property, and there had been a single wide on the property many years ago, but well outside of the 36 months that would allow it to be grandfathered. There's also been, as of recent as 2012, I believe that there was a large home that was on the property that was destroyed and is no longer there. So there are, the applicant is, the owner of the property lives adjacent to this property, and they are allowing their grandson to move his family onto this property. And at this point, it's his long-term plan to possibly build a home on the property, but at this time, a single-wide is desired. We did not receive any phone calls regarding this request. The area around this particular property is heavily wooded. We also have evidence of other single wides in this particular area. We find that this request meets the criteria for special exception approval and recommend approval. I believe the applicant is here in person. So.
Would the applicant please stand? Do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Just other than it be my grandson on the property with me, of course, I'm not in great health too, so it'd be a lot of help to me being close to me there. Like she said, my home burned almost 7 years ago. But anyway, it'd be good to have him there beside me.
Do you have any questions? Pardon?
I didn't hear it.
Would you come up here? She can't hear you. Come up to the microphone. I was trying to expedite the matter.
My name's Ricky Gibson. I own the property I own both pieces of property. So I'm not in the best health, and my grandson, it'd be nice to have him there to help me out when, during times. I'm single, so that's mainly what I've got to say. It'd be good to have him there with me.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this request, or we're open mic. would you please come? Thank you for being here, Commissioner.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's Robert P., 4047 Bivens Hill Road in Reedville, Tennessee. I actually know the owner here, went to school with him. These are good folks, and they're asking for some help for their family. And I'm here to recommend that you approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? We'll close the public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Call the roll, please.
Okay, who was second? I heard two.
Sartain.
Okay. Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item is a request by Josh Oliver, who is requesting approval of establishment of a non-commercial storage facility for personal use. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-31 is a request for special exception approval to allow the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility to be used for personal storage upon a property located in the RL zone. Mr. Rivera owns the 2.12 acre parcel off of Richland Richardson Road. He has owned the property since 2015. It's located at 1113 Richland Richardson. And this request is the result of a code enforcement violation. Mr. Rivera was notified by code enforcement via letter that there was a potential business being operated from this property, which is located in the RL zone. And when Mr. Rivera contacted staff, we explained to him what his options were. One of those options that he elected to apply for was to request for a storage facility for the personal use of the property owner. Under those provisions in the zoning ordinance, we require verifiable proof. Pardon me for a second. Verifiable proof that the site could not support the installation of a septic system. And so the applicant has submitted some information that's available online. However, we do typically require a letter from TDEC indicating that the site has been evaluated, or a letter from a soil scientist who has indicated that they've evaluated the site and determined that there were no areas for a septic system that would support a septic system. Now, since 2015, the property has, and we have provided you with color photographs of 2015 and 2020. They're in the presentation, but we also have every year as the increase in activity has progressed. We have received numerous calls regarding this request. He's proposing to build one large structure on the property and hoping to be able to use that structure to store a lot of the items that are on the property now. He would still need to clean the site. Under this provision, he would not be entitled to any outdoor storage. And, let's see, he would not be able to live on site. And then the structure could not be utilized for the storage of any business equipment or materials related to an off-site business. We have received calls, as I just mentioned, and you have a petition that was distributed to each of you from people in the area indicating that they have concerns regarding the condition of the property, that the applicant regularly burns trash, which smells of plastics and toys, and it's undesirable for the area. Some of them have indicated that they are, whenever he is burning, that they do not like to step outside. Although I do not have information from the fire department, I am of the understanding that a couple times the fire department has had to respond to a couple of the fires that have taken place on the site. And you will hear from 3 of the neighbors in this particular area, and they can speak to their personal accounts. However, I did receive a phone call this afternoon from someone who was out of town, and they could not be available via the phone. Their name is Steve Schimpf at 1121 Richland Richardson, and he indicated, he echoed some of the same concerns that I mentioned that were brought to our attention, and indicated also that there may be portalettes on site, that there may be some dumping into a stream, a dry creek on the property, and that he was opposed to this request. Code enforcement has gone out to the site today to do a follow-up investigation or inspection, and they indicated, and they have photos, that the site has been cleaned up some. However, it's still in violation. Staff finds that should the board opt to approve this request, we are recommending that the following conditions are incorporated into your motion, which is, prior to the establishment of any structure, the applicant must provide verifiable proof that the conditions on the property will not allow the establishment of a principal structure, that any item stored outside must be removed from the site. All permits must be obtained prior to construction of the building upon the property, and that the use must continually comply with the standards for non-commercial storage facilities, garage, workshop, or other structure for the private use of the landowner established in Section 1408 D4. And that concludes our presentation.
The applicant, I believe, is here. If you'll come up here.
Because he does not speak great English, is it okay?
Sure.
We also have an interpreter here.
Yeah,
who
you can come on up. Come on up. And we will comply to all what the staff findings are and do exactly what they ask us to do. The land is total rock. It's all, it's just rock. This is the building, basically, we're going to build. Otherwise, the lot is worth zero. I mean,
If you don't mind, I would like to have our interpreter and do his words, if you don't mind. The applicant's words. If our interpreter could please come up and let him speak for himself.
I'm an advocate for it. I understand what the property's already been done.
I would like to hear his words.
That's fine. Come on up.
Come on
up.
forward.
Yeah, and if he wants to say something, he can say it. But anyway, this is the building that we're looking to build, and it's a nice building. What we don't have is anything else on this piece of property. It's just total rock.
You will have an opportunity to speak
It's
at the
flat
public hearing. If you just give us a second and let the applicant speak, we'd appreciate it.
Mi nombre es José Olvera.
My name is Jose Olvera.
When I bought the land, I didn't know that we have our pool permit for un edificio o
So when he bought the land, he didn't know he was supposed to pull a permit for the building or buildings.
Y yo empecé a arreglar el driveway porque tiene 2 entradas.
So
Y lo empecé a arreglar.
So it just began to put in the driveway, and there was 2 entrances in there, so I just started working on the driveways and putting them in.
Y como pueden ver ahí en la foto, puse grava casi en todo el terreno porque había mucho lodo.
So as you can see in the pictures, he covered a lot of it with gravel because it was mostly dirt and mud, very hard to get around.
Y enfrente, en un lado, el pasto no crece, entonces puse unos camiones de topsoil ahí.
So there's one area where grass wasn't growing, so in that area, he would put a couple loads of topsoil.
Hace como 2 semanas hice eso.
So-
Y en el otro lado también porque estaba... la carretera que está aquí, acá abajo, tiene como 9 pies de caída. Entonces lo que hice, le puse un poco para hacer una rampa, porque cuando vas con el carro no puedes ver para los lados porque está de subida. Entonces le puse un poco de material para que tenga una rampa
So
para poder salir.
So because there was a difference, quite a bit of difference in elevation from the road onto his property, he put fill material in there, rock in there, so that he could make it useful for him to be able to pull out onto the road.
Ask him if he's sure he can comply with these requirements.
Puede
Yes, we
Pues,
can. Yes.
hemos estado trabajando, sí.
si puede cumplir todo lo que requisen el condado.
Lo he estado leyendo un poco, no puedo entender muy bien, pero sí podemos cumplir con todo. De hecho, hemos estado trabajando.
Once he understands all of it, and we can explain it to him, that he would be happy to comply.
Any
Hemos
further
estado-
questions?
Preguntas. Buena pregunta.
Renee?
Could you please read to him in Spanish what our requirements are?
Pongan una estructura, un edificio, tienen que tener prueba de las condiciones de la propiedad que no pueden poner una estructura principal como una casa o algo así, ¿ok? Es la
Ok.
primera cosa. La segunda cosa, que todo lo que tiene de líquidos o todas las cosas que tiene afuera, artículos, los tienen que quitar del terreno.
Okay.
Y todos los permisos tienen que obtener antes de construcción para poner el edificio en la
Ok.
propiedad, ¿ok? Y luego tiene que guardar todos los estándares de un edificio que no es comercial, para si quiere poner cosas ahí como un garaje o donde van a trabajar, o otra estructura privada. Okay. Y tiene que fijarse aquí donde tiene esta referencia.
Okay.
Tiene que hacer todas estas cosas antes de que le puedan dar, si le dan permiso.
Okay.
Okay.
¿Está bien?
He said yes. He said that'll be fine.
So he can comply with everything. And is there anyone that lives on this property currently?
¿Hay alguien que vive allí ahorita?
No. Well,
That one?
yo estoy ahí porque
¿Está viviendo allí ahorita?
no estoy viviendo, pero a veces tengo que estar ahí un poco de tiempo, algunas veces porque el vecindario no es muy seguro.
So he's there, sometimes he's there late, mainly in the way of security, but he said he's not living.
Porque algunas veces se jalan como el dragway tiene como 200 pies, entonces jalan las trocas ahí y necesito también tener algo ahí de cuidado.
So he says mainly when he stays, it's for security purposes. So he's just
So
afraid.
where is his residence without this address?
¿En dónde vive ahorita?
Yo tengo una casa en 2402 Mission Ridge Drive.
2402 Mission Ridge.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. One more time?
2402 Mission Ridge?
402 Mission Ridge. Is that Murfreesboro?
Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Murfreesboro. So how many nights a week do you have to pull security?
¿Cuántas veces a la semana tiene que estar
Como-
ahí por seguridad?
Algunas veces me quedo 2 o 3 veces, pero no todo el tiempo, porque no puedo estar todo el tiempo ahí porque también trabajo.
Ajá.
Entonces no puedo estar todo.
¿Se queda ahí durante la noche?
A veces estoy un poco tarde en la noche y a veces pues me tengo que ir porque tengo que ir al trabajo también.
Okay. So sometimes maybe about 2 or 3 days a week he stays there late for that when he can't stay there all night because he has to work.
Bill, do you have a question?
Yes. Is everything going to be removed?
Van a quitar todo eso.
Sí, ya, de hecho ya hemos empezado a quitar muchas cosas.
Yeah, they started removing some things out right now.
Y estamos moviendo más.
So
But I asked, is everything going to be removed?
Van a quitar todo.
Sí. Algunas cosas, pues también quería ver si me dan permiso para poner algo allá adentro. Voy a mover muchas cosas, pero si me dan el permiso, pues tengo que poner algo adentro ahí, aunque sea algo más pequeño.
Sí, pero están preguntando que si va a quitar todas las cosas.
Sí.
Okay.
Gary?
Yes.
We'll take everything out.
Bill, is that, Gary? Go ahead.
If this is approved, how much time is he going to be requesting for it to be cleaned up?
Si le dan permiso, entonces ¿qué tanto tiempo va a necesitar para quitar todo de la propiedad?
Can we ask a question? And is it possible?
I'd like to hear from him, sir.
No, but I mean, before that, if we start building the building, we can move some of that stuff in there. That's the whole part.
We need to hear from the applicant, please.
Sí, yo puedo mover muchas cosas, pero también hay cosas que, bueno, sí puedo mover todo. No lo he estado moviendo continuamente, ya está más limpio ahí.
¿Qué tanto tiempo piensa que
Pero
si
yo creo que necesito para mover todo, necesito como otros 2 meses, porque lo estoy haciendo en mis ratos libres. De hecho, ya tengo muchas cosas que ya no están ahí.
He says maybe 2 months because he's doing it on his own time, aside from work, on his free time.
Yeah, he's not rich.
Okay. I got a question for you, sir.
Sure.
You seem awful aggressive about interjecting. What's your part in this?
Nothing, just an advocate for Mr. Jose. I'm not aggressive about it. What I'm just doing is that I don't think that he understands everything about, the move in and move out part of it, of what you guys understand that you need. And, but he's a gearhead, even though, I mean, he's got a lot of, some cars out there that he likes to keep and work on.
Are you going to have any business interest in it?
Absolutely, I'll visit it.
No, so you got business interest in this?
No, I thought you said visit.
No, business.
No, I don't have any business interest.
Okay. And that's the reason this gentleman is here, to be able to interpret some
real
things
estate,
for us.
I do real estate, and I see real estate. I sold him this piece of real estate, and it was inexpensive because it was a piece of rock.
Did you know what he was going to do when you sold it to him?
Absolutely.
Why didn't you advise him that he needed permits and stuff?
Permits, well, he didn't need permits at that particular time.
Well, if you knew what he was going to be doing, you should have advised him. Then done your due diligence as a real estate agent to be able to advise your client. And this is why he's in the situation he's in right now.
Not really. The thing about it is the property has, it has a few little structures or whatever on it, and that's all that was being done. I haven't been out there in years. I think I sold it to him in 2000, what was it? 15, 5 years ago. So I haven't been out there since then.
Around, look at
That's
that.
2015.
That was 15.
15.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like now.
I mean, you should have advised him and give him, instead of just selling it to him.
It's not still, I mean, I should have advised him, but I didn't know that any of this was going on until he called me.
You just said you knew what he was going to be doing out there.
I knew that he was buying the property.
And you said, at your own words, you said you knew what he was going to be doing.
Well, I didn't know he was going to do this. I didn't know he was going to store over stuff like this.
Can we get back to the applicant? I'd like to ask him a question. What activities does he do out there now? Why is he burning things, and why is it like it is now? What does he do?
Haciendo ahí, ¿por qué está quemando cosas y por qué tiene todo así?
No, hubo un incendio, pero yo no fui el del incendio, fue el otro vecino que estaba allá atrás. Yo no fui vino los bomberos y había un señor que vive más atrás, porque el driveway que está en mi driveway es un derecho de paso y el señor tiene 75 acres allá atrás. Y él prendió fuego y se salió el fuego, pero ahí no puede haber fuego en mi propiedad porque todo es grava. Nada más enfrente es un poco de pasto y no crece bien. Y yo a veces quemo un poco de leña ahí, pero como madera, pero no hago incendios ahí, como ellos dicen.
Okay. He said the fire that you're referencing, or that was referenced in the case, was not his, it was the neighbor's. I believe he was referring to the access road that goes around to the back, and he said that neighbor owns 75 acres back there, and he was burning something and it got out of hand, and that's what the fire went for, the firefighters. So, well, storage.
Bueno, yo verdaderamente lo uso por storage, y pues yo estoy dispuesto a trabajar con el condado y si puedo seguir usando la tierra para storage, no para otra cosa, nada más para poner cosas que yo quiero guardar, como algunas par de trocas viejas que tengo, que no quiero vender. Pero ahorita no. Si en el principio, cuando yo compré la tierra o el terreno, yo creí que la podía usar para, pues en el futuro construir algo ahí, pero tengo entendido que no puedo hacer nada porque es un pedazo de piedra, no se puede hacer nada.
So right now he's using it mainly for storage, and he does have a few vehicles that he is working there, and you can see, I think there were some items there that look like big auto parts, and that's what is storing on there right now. So he said when he purchased the land, it was with the hopes that maybe he can put something there, but now he realizes that it's not buildable for a structure. So right now he's mainly using it there to keep some things there from, it looks like also, I think he said, from his work. So,
Bill, did you have another question?
Is he storing things for other people? And if so, is he charging storage fees?
¿Está guardando cosas por otra gente? Si está...
No. Es todas las cosas que están ahí son mías, no.
No, everything's his on the property.
Okay, thank you. Let's open this for a public hearing. So if you all please be seated.
Sir.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to call in or speak on this.
Could we get the gentleman in a black
Do we
jacket?
have someone already here?
Could we get your name, sir, for the record?
John
Do we have a call in?
John
Henson.
Mixon. Okay, Mixon.
Do you have a call in on that?
Yes, we have a couple people. I provided you a list.
Okay, if you will make contact with us now at this time. We're open for a public hearing.
Hello.
Go ahead.
My name is Mrs. Mingle, and my driveway goes along the side of this gentleman's property. And it is true, when he first moved there, he did a great job on fixing his driveway and making it nice so his vans and things could come in and out. And that was what was there at first. And then he built this great big huge makeshift building with all kinds of different scrap materials in the location where you're saying that this new building is going to go. So he already has
Please speak
a
into your
makeshift
microphone.
building.
You're fading.
So he already has a makeshift building in the area where you are talking, where he's talking about building it. And there's another couple of other buildings that I understand that he's saying you would have to
Okay,
tear those
we'll
down.
hold up a minute until we get your volume going.
And then tell IT to turn up the volume. We can't hear it
Okay.
up here.
IT, would you please turn up the volume? Okay, go ahead now.
Okay, so he has a makeshift building there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, we can hear
Sir,
you.
Okay, he has a makeshift building already there on the property. Like I said, when he first came in and he first moved there, he did a really nice job on the driveway. It was beautiful. It's beautiful work that he did on his driveway, being able to get his vans in and out of there and some of his trucks and things. But then he built this big makeshift building towards the back of the lot, which is close to my driveway, and it's where you're saying that he's proposing to build this new building. So he already has a building, and he's got a couple of other buildings that are makeshift that are there. They're made out of different kinds of materials that he must have had left over from, you know, some jobs or something. But he also has, like, campers that are there, and there are porta potties there. There used to be just one, and now I understand there's more that I can't see from my side. And the fires that we're talking about is not just one big fire. Every so often, there is trash being burned. Bags of garbage are being burned, along with, like, plastic toys and stuff like that. So, and there, it's my understanding, there's only a well on that property. There is no running water, and there's no electricity that goes to that property either, is my understanding. So if he's going to build a big building, 4,500 square feet, you know, 57 by 80, how is he going to get it insured if there's no running water and there's no electricity, if he's going to store things in there? And right now, it looks like a junkyard. It does not look like any kind of low-density housing or farmland or whatever. It doesn't look like that at all. And like I said, it was nice when, you know, when he first started there, but then this has just progressively gotten more and more and more and more. And there's trucks, there's tow trucks, there's vans, there's old cars, there's all kinds of stuff over there now. And that just creates more vermin in the area. And we have farmland, but we don't need any more. We've got plenty of field mice. We don't need anything else.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? We have any call-in, others?
There's a Mr. Henderson.
Okay, Mr. Henderson, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Speaking on the real estate agent there, when him and Jose was there looking at the place, I told that real estate guy that it wouldn't be nothing but a junkyard there, and so, you know, there it is. And he's putting up a fence around it, but he's just using just whatever he has. You know, it's just old 4x4s or whatever it is. I was wondering if he does get the building, how much is he going to be bringing in on the outside of it?
Where is Mr. Henderson adjacent to the property? The caller?
Yes, ma'am.
Where is the caller adjacent to the property? Where is he? What's his address?
Mr. Henderson, he is at 1120, is this Bobby Henderson?
Yes, ma'am.
1124.
Just north of it.
Any other questions?
No, I can't think.
Thank you,
right
Mr.
offhand.
Henderson. Is anyone else on this list? Okay. Commissioner, come ahead.
Well, you guys don't see me until people in my area start showing up. I've got a quick suggestion on here with the resistance that you're seeing from the neighborhood is, I'm not from Missouri, I'm from Margaritaville, as I told you a little while ago, but I'm kind of a show me kind of guy. I would tell this man to clean this up, get it in compliance, and then come back and ask permission for a building.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? We'll close the public hearing. Any comments or motions you want to make on this?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. Well, first I'll make a statement. I feel for this man. I understand where he's at. I think there should have been some due diligence done from the start And what I'm going to do is make a motion that we deny the request.
Okay, we have a motion to be denied. We have a second.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion?
It may be wise, Mr. Farley, to give reasons to support the denial.
Based on what the recommendation from the staff, that it does not meet the guidelines.
Second on that.
Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Gary Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes, but I would suggest that he would bring it up to compliance and try again.
Yes or no?
yes, Dane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item of business we have is a request by Berryman Farms, and this is a request for a temporary special exemption approval allowing a barrel pit. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-32, filed by Berryman Farms, is a request for special exception approval for a temporary special exception allowing a burrow pit in the RL zone. The property is located at 520 Old Woodbury Pike. It's a 119-acre property. And the applicant reached out to staff about a month ago and indicated that they would like to remove some rock material from their site and transport it to another site that they have in Woodbury. And they were advised at the time to apply for a temporary special exception, which would allow them to remove the material from the site. To give you a little background, this particular site was the recipient of a stop work order in 2018. There was some work that had been taken place and materials being moved from the site. It was inspected and the stop work order was issued for not having a land disturbance permit, that they would require BZA approval, that there were no EPSC measures installed, that a blasting permit may be required, a county road bond may be required, an extraction project, that work was being conducted. The site itself is being prepared for cattle. They're going to use it as a farm. It's not their intentions to blast anymore. It's their desire just to remove the rock material from the site. At the time, the applicant stopped the work when they were issued the stop work order. We have not received the complaint since. And it wasn't until the sign was posted and the letters were mailed that this had been an ongoing problem. So you have received several letters from residents of the area indicating that they have endured some of the activity that has taken place on the site for the last couple of years. The applicant, as I said before, estimates that the amount of work would take 2 to 3 weeks max to remove the material from the site. Some of the concerns that we've heard from the neighbors and you've seen in the letters that were provided to you, the time limits on this particular matter. And then what the truck route that would be used for the removal of the rock, and then how many trucks per day will be arriving or leaving the site with materials. So there were some questions that people had. They wanted to know the truck traffic, how long that the permit was going to last. Now, our temporary special exception permits last for 6 months with a 3-month possible extension. However, the applicant has stated in their application that the work they anticipate will take up to three weeks max. We have recommended some conditions in the staff report. As you see, condition 1, the area that the rock will be removed must be seeded and strawed upon completion of the removal. Second condition, prior to removal of any material from the site, the applicant shall contact the Rutherford County Highway Department to determine if a road bond will be required. 3, the applicant shall obtain a land disturbance permit from the Rutherford County Planning and Engineering. And 4, the applicant shall contact TDEC for a determination of a general construction permit. A permit or documentation from TDEC indicating a permit is unnecessary shall be required prior to the removal of any material from the site. And that concludes our presentation.
Okay, we have online the applicant and also a representative of the applicant. Who will go first, please?
I will. Matt Taylor of SEC. Can you hear me?
This is Matt Taylor, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I represent the applicant. They bought this piece of property a while back. They want to treat it. They want to have it as a farm. And so the blasting and the activities that they've been using and doing have
Okay,
been in
hold up a
preparation
minute.
for
Hold
that
up, Matt.
farm.
Matt, do you hear me? Hold up a second. All right, go ahead now.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So, my client, Berryman Farms, bought this property a while back. They want to use it for a farm. So the activities they've been completing, which is the blasting, was to generate a pond for their future livestock. So, now that they've utilized some of that rock they created on site, you can
Okay,
actually
Matt,
see
hold
some,
up until we get this straightened out.
OIT, can you turn this up a bit?
Okay, go ahead and try now.
All right. Is it better now?
That's still not good. Can't hear it.
Try something. Let me try
Heck,
something
would
different.
you turn up the volume? You've turned it down too far. All right, Matt, try it.
Any better?
Can you hear me now?
Hear you. Can you hear me better?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So my client bought this farm several years ago, or the property, to use it as a farm. He owns an adjoining piece of property. And so the work that he's done out here, which was to blast and crush, they did that in preparation to create a farm pond for their livestock that they want to move over here. And so they've already used some of that rock on site to create little drives or roads, if you will, and then they've got some left over. And so they want to remove it. It doesn't have any function on the farm itself. And so they've got a property in Woodbury that they want to move it to. They understand that they had the stop work order before. I think that they stopped that work. I think they were moving that to another project they had in Murfreesboro, and so they stopped that once they got that stop work order. They are in complete agreement with any of the conditions of approval. We've actually already reached out to TDEC and had confirmed that we do not need a construction general permit. I shared that correspondence with staff earlier today. It was late in the afternoon, so Danielle probably did not have a chance to see that. And then we'll reach out to the road board, highway department to confirm the bond and what they need on that. And I'll be happy to answer any other questions. Mr. Hazlett with Berryman Farms is also on the call if you have questions of him directly.
Mr. Hazlett, did you have any comments? Go ahead if you do.
No, sir, not at this time. I think Mr. Taylor pretty much touched on everything. You know, the only thing I would add is, you know, when they had the stop work order, the order earlier, it was Mr. Berryman thought that he was told he could move, you know, something from one property owned to another property owned, and he was misinformed. So, but when he was told to stop, he stopped, and nothing else came off of that property. And that's what led us to this when we met with staff to find out what needed to be done to do it the proper way. And that's how we got here to where we're at.
Okay, thank you. Do you have
Yes,
any
sir.
questions? Go ahead, Jared.
So you think in 90 days you can have this done?
Yes, sir. That would not be a problem at all. I just did some quick math. We had already estimated about 3 weeks turnaround, and that would be about 20 trucks per day. At that haul distance, we could do that, but definitely within 90 days.
Well, that would include the reclamation plan that's part of the borrow pit process, you have it back down, seated, and done in 3 months?
Yes, sir. It's not a problem at all.
Any other questions?
I think there were some questions about the route that the trucks would use. Would they immediately go towards John Bragg Highway? Or is there another route that you were planning to use?
I think the most logical would be to go Woodbury, straight to the Woodbury Highway, but I have not talked to the truck drivers themselves. I think, I don't know that I can 100% guarantee you they're going to hang a
Are you
ride out
talking
of
about
here,
the John
but I would
Bragg
think that's
Highway?
the route they'd want to go.
Mr. Taylor,
I've not
you
Googled
talking
it.
about the John Bragg Highway? John Bragg Highway?
Yes, that's what my anticipation would be. It's a much better route.
Okay. We'll open this for a public hearing. For anyone who'd like to call in, we have a number of people that want to call in and make a statement on this. Would you go ahead at this time? Any call-ins?
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead.
My name is Jane Rust. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Ms. Rust.
Okay, good. My husband Jim and I work together on these comments, so I will be the Rust speaking, and we live at 373 Old Woodbury Pike. And I thank you for this opportunity to express our concerns about this. Our farm is adjacent to this parcel on the north. It borders us on the north and east boundaries of our farm. And we don't know Mr. Bierman. Our contacts over the years have been with one of his employees, Roy Hughes, who actually helped us get a neighbor's cows off the highway. That the picture that I'm seeing now is where those neighbor's cows were. So I understand that you have this extra rock, and we understand that you have a purpose for it in Woodbury. The reason that we are reacting so strongly is because the adjacent properties and the community were negatively influenced by the convoy of trucks that exited from this farm before. And they did. When we called and complained and the staff came out, we appreciated very much the stop work order, and they did stop. But we do not want a repetition of this. So we appreciate the conditions that the staff is putting in, and we would urge that if you approve this, you put in some kind of controls for dust. Like you can possibly have the trucks drive through a water bath, or you can dampen down the lane that the trucks will be going on, so we don't have all this dust control, so that there would be some control for the dust. And I'm not sure about whether there's a plan for drainage and erosion control. That could be important because the land has been, contours of the land have been changed. So the 20 vehicles a day sounds reasonable, but the trucks all need to be covered for spillage. There was a lot of spillage last time. I mean, there was a rock so big that it took 2 hands for me to lift it off the highway when I was walking one day when I saw it. The drivers need to be cautioned that if early in the morning on the John Bragg Highway, the sun is low in the sky now. Last week there was a bad wreck because the sun got in a driver's eyes. So they just need to be aware of this hazard. And we appreciate very much the thought that the trucks would not go through the village of Reedyville, where people who have special needs live. And the speed limits are low, so if you come out that lane, turn right on Old Woodbury Pike, and go up to the John Bragg Highway and turn left to go to Woodbury, the timing is about the same as going through Reedyville if you obey the speed limit. So we appreciate that you can consider some of these concerns that we have had. So thank you.
Mr. Rust, is he on the line there too with you?
Jane did the speaking for us, and she did a good job.
Did he want to add anything to that?
No, thank you.
Okay, go ahead. Ray?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Ray Ferretta. I'm at 795 Old Woodbury Pike. A lot of my questions have been answered thus far during this portion of the hearing. I would like to understand a little bit better how the dust control, the reclamation plan, and the drainage plan will be addressed. As I understand it in the staff report, those are all items that are conditions to obtaining this temporary permit.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone here that would like to speak on this? Commissioner, come around. You're busy tonight, aren't you?
You know, last time I was here, I think I had 3 applicants in also. Yes, it's a busy night over in the 4th District, and we're like a lot of people in this county. We're seeing growing pains, and that's part of the reason you're seeing these. A couple things I want to point out here. This kind of reminds me of my kids, you know. My wife caught my kids doing something sometimes. She told them not to do that anymore, but they continued doing it. And then they came to me later and asked permission to do it. And that's kind of what this is. These guys were caught doing what they shouldn't be doing, and it sounds to me like they're a business that knows better. They were told not to do this, yet they continue to do it. As far as I know, they've never paid any extraction fees, and that's part of our county orders. We've got witnesses of you guys driving trucks out of that area. I don't know how many, I don't know how long, but evidently it was enough to make a good impression on the neighbors there. But if we allow people to do this kind of behavior, all we're going to do is perpetuate it. My thought on this is just say no. You know, these guys went in there, they've got the right, they can go in there and they can make a crater out of that place if they want to, but they don't have the right to take anything off that property. They don't have the right to disturb any of their neighbors or cause more runoff or water problems there. But yet these guys know state and local laws, and they've clearly ignored them, and now they're coming back and they're asking permission to get by with this. And I say, let's not do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner P. Anyone else here? We'll close the public hearing.
Mr. Zach Cantrell? May I speak? This is Michael Hazlett.
He's asking us.
Hello?
Who is this?
The applicant.
Okay, the applicant, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, I would just like to touch on a couple items that Mr. and Mrs. Russ were talking about.
I don't think we need to do that. Just make any statement.
That's what I'm making, a statement about the trucks coming, and we could make sure that they go to the safest routes, which would be John Bragg Highway. And it should always be John Bragg Highway. There's no reason for someone to go down a small 2-lane road. And then also, when we were asked to stop or told to stop before, we stopped. We did not continue to do anything previously in 2018. And we did not know the things, and I'm not sure how Commissioner P thinks we would know everything about state and local laws on what we do for our businesses, but we did not know, we were advised that we could do it from property to property because he owned both properties, but we did not intentionally do that. If we did it intentionally, we would just do it again until you told us to stop, but that's not what we did. We wanted to do it the right way, and that's why we came before staff to ask and to go that route. That's, kind of just what I wanted to let you know. We did not intentionally go do it and ask for forgiveness later, because we would have done the same thing if that was the case.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Jerry?
we're kind of in a bind here because our staff finds that it meets the general requirements. But yet we have a representative of the people out there saying that it doesn't. So I'm not sure where we go from there.
Well, we have the representative out there that's opposed to this item. And we have a few people that are opposed to it for some good reasons. So any further discussion?
Let me ask this question. I mean, best case scenario is compromise. We got two sides right now. And how do we make this a win-win situation for everybody? That's how I look at it. Mr. Hazlett just got through saying that they'll make sure the route goes the safest route. And I trust Mr. Hazlett on that. I mean, it's public meeting. He's stated it. It's taped, and we can put that in the minutes. We can also put it in the requirements of the document application. I respect the commissioner's wishes. Hey, I was one for 20 years, and I come up here. Sometimes I won some, sometimes I lost some. You know, and I also respect the community out there, their needs. But
well, you can put a shorter time limit on what they're asking. Also, I think the people out there don't want the trucks running up and down Readable in the mud and dirt, and we can put that in there to keep that with a shorter time.
I think a while ago I heard somebody correct me. Was it 60 or 90 days? That 3 weeks. All right. What if we do 60 days, and that we require them to go John Bragg Highway. They don't go down 2-lane roads. They go to the safest route, and then also if there's any dusk, make sure the dusk is mitigated, and that the roads are swept during this time. And with that being said, I'll make a motion.
You make that a motion? Is that, you get that?
Yeah, I did. And one thing, Mr. Farley, I don't want to mischaracterize anything, but I think the applicant said they could have it done in 3 months.
3 months.
But I don't think that what you're saying is unreasonable. You might just want to say, or ask Mr. Taylor, you can do it in 60 days, can't you?
Okay, they were saying 3 weeks. That's what I was thinking. I heard 3 months or something. Is that something is 60 days doable?
Yes, sir. That is perfectly acceptable to us. All those conditions would be.
So that'd be your motion, Mr. Farley.
Okay. I'll make that in form of a motion, what I stated.
Do we have a second to that?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this the proper time?
Wait a minute. Let's get a second to it. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Now, what's your question?
Going back to the extraction fees, if everyone that did it properly in the proper channels, they have to go through 1, 2, 3, ABC. So we're not addressing that they've just totally gone around the extraction fees for the county. Is there a way that we can make that? Y'all tell me. I don't know. But if you did it in the proper channels, there's certain.
Are you talking about a severance tax for the material?
I don't know.
Okay. Typically,
there's not an extraction fee. Mr. P referenced an extraction fee that you'd have to pay for the county before you begin.
Well, it's typically there's a fee based on the tonnage. Yeah, I think it's 15 cents a ton or something like that, that you pay to, if this were a quarry, if this were a permitted quarry through the state, through the county and everything like that, you could get severance tax off of that, like the Rogers Group or Blue Water Quarry. I would have to talk to Nick about that.
I don't think so. But
Yeah,
just
if-
remember, we have these findings from the staff, which probably will cover some of the things at least I hope it would. We have a legitimate motion, a second. Any further comments? Bill?
It seems as if it's already accomplished, and they just want to get rid of the rock now. Am I correct in that?
That's all we're looking for. That's all you need from us, then I second it.
There's no more blasting?
No.
So your motion was to approve with the conditions that were read aloud by staff,
Yes.
and also provisions for, did you say dust control?
For dust control,
And then the traffic route shall be from Wood to John Bragg Highway?
yes, and also
that-
sweeping of the roads.
Okay.
If they become muddy, dusty and stuff like that.
Okay.
Oh, and then, what was it, 60
Okay.
days?
60 days.
We've closed the public hearing. Now we've got a motion. We've got a second. It's time to vote.
Right.
Call the roll, please.
Jerry, you actually seconded. Okay,
Oh, you did? I thought I did.
okay,
She does too.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Gary Farley,
Yes.
Amber Brown,
Yes.
Gary Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Mr. Taylor, I would advise you to come personally to the office up here and get these written requirements before we move forward any further than what we are, to make sure you know what you're doing and what you have to comply with.
Yes,
Any
sir, we
further
will do that.
business
Thank
before
you.
the BZA?
No, sir.
Thank you very much, everyone. We are adjourned. Commissioner P., thank you for being here.